My name is Ethan. I'm a 32-year-old history professor, and I want to share a story about the day I learned that some family fires only consume you. I used to believe family was a fire you stoked with your own heart. Every sacrifice, every scraped-together dollar, every dream you buried was to keep it burning. But when I offered my sister my soul in a single envelope, she crushed it under her heel and called it nothing. I grew up in a house where I was the shadow to my sister Nora's light. She's 7 years younger, the golden child who could do no wrong. When she was born, my world shifted. At 12, I was cooking her meals, my hands raw from scrubbing pots. At 14, I'd walk her to school through snow that stung my face. Her tiny hand in mine. My parents were always gone, working, distracted and absent. It was always, "Ethan, can you get Nora from practice? Ethan, help her with math." By 16, I was her father, her tutor, her everything except her brother. I didn't hate her for it. She was a kid, all laughter and messy pigtails, oblivious to the weight she carried in our family. But that weight was a stone on my chest, heavier each year until I broke free at 18. College was my escape. Late nights, cheap ramen, the thrill of a life that was mine alone. I earned my degree, landed a teaching job, and bought a cramped apartment with a view of flickering city lights. It was small, but it was my fortress. Then the calls started. 5 years ago, Nora got into a private art school. At $15,000 a year, it was a dream my parents couldn't touch. Their voices crackled through the phone like a bad radio signal. "Ethan, it's for Nora's future. Just cover half the tuition. We'll handle the rest." Half. As if half wasn't my grocery budget, my savings, or the trip to Greece I had planned since I was a teenager. But I said yes because I was Ethan, the one who always said yes. For 5 years I bled for Nora's dream. I sent thousands of dollars semester after semester. I taught night classes, skipped weekends away, and lived on coffee and toast. When money ran thin, my friends drifted off when I kept saying no to dinners and trips. My apartment stayed sparse, a sagging couch, a chipped mug because every dollar went to her. Did my parents ever thank me? Did Nora ever mention the nights I juggled bills to keep her in school? No. I was just the family's invisible bank expected to keep giving. When Nora graduated last summer, I thought I'd earned my freedom. I could save for myself, maybe buy a decent chair, maybe breathe. But then she needed a place to live. Of course, I found her a studio through my old landlord, Mr. Hayes, a man who showed me more kindness than my own blood. I paid her first few months' rent to ease her into her new graphic design job. She texted me at first, all smiles. "Ethan, you're a lifesaver!" But the text stopped. The gratitude turned to silence. My parents called her independent, as if I wasn't the one footing the bill. Then came Nora's 24th birthday. I wanted to give her something monumental, something to lift us both. I drained my savings, $15,000, and paid her rent for a full year. I tucked the paperwork into a crimson envelope, her name scrolled in ink like a vow. This was my gift, security for her and liberation for me. After this, I'd be done. I drove to my parents' house for her party, the envelope heavy in my coat. The place buzzed with music, chatter, cousins, and strangers. Nora glided through in a blue dress, untouchable and glowing. I hugged her, but she was already turning away, caught by someone louder, brighter. My parents barely nodded at me. Another family event where I was a stranger in their orbit. Dinner was chaotic, pasta, red wine, everyone fawning over Nora. Then my mom stood, her voice thick with pride. "Nora, you're our star." She gestured to the window, and there was a white convertible, a bow tied across its hood like a movie prop. Nora gasped, tears spilling as she sprinted outside. The crowd followed, phones flashing, and cheers erupted. A car. They'd given her a car. I clapped, my smile tight, my throat burning. When I was 24, they gave me a $15 bookstore voucher. When I bought my apartment, they said, "Good for you," and asked if I needed boxes. But Nora, a car with a bow, like she was the center of the universe. Back inside, it was gift time, my moment. I stood, my pulse hammering, and handed Nora the envelope. "Happy birthday," I said, my voice low. She ripped it open, her eyes scanning the pages, her face twisting. "What's this?" she asked. "I paid your rent for a year, Nora. You're free to focus on your career." "No worries." The room froze. Her expression wasn't joy or gratitude. It was disgust. "Seriously, Ethan?" She spat, her voice a blade. "This isn't a gift. This is just you doing your job." My breath stopped. "What?" She flung the papers at me and they fluttered to the table. You're supposed to pay my rent. This is my birthday and you give me this garbage. Mom and Dad got me a car. Something that matters. This is pathetic. The silence was deafening. Eyes darted away. My parents sat still. Nora, this is a year of your life, I said, my voice cracking. Do you know what I sacrificed for this? I don't care, she yelled. Next year, give me something real. Something that shows you actually give a damn. My mom cleared her throat. Ethan, maybe you should leave. Let's not spoil Nora's night. Spoil her night? I grabbed the envelope, my hands shaking, and walked out. The drive home was a haze of rage and tears, the road blurring before me. That night in my apartment, I shattered. I sobbed until my chest burned. Not just for Nora's words, but for every year I'd given them. My money, my time, my life. I'd poured everything into their fire and they'd let it scorch me. The next day I called Mr. Hayes. I'm canceling Nora's lease, I said, my voice cold and certain. He didn't pry. You've always been solid, Ethan. I'll take care of it. A week later, Nora was out. My phone lit up with calls. Nora, my parents, pleading, shouting, crying. I ignored them and blocked their numbers. When they pounded on my door, I locked it and turned away. Last month, they begged me to cover the car payments they couldn't make. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound, and hung up. The bank repossessed it. Nora is back with my parents, scraping by. Do I feel bad? Not a bit. For the first time in 10 years, I'm alive. I'm saving for a trip to Athens. I bought a new desk, one that doesn't wobble. I'm living for me. If you've ever carried someone else's weight until it broke you, you know the feeling. How did you cut yourself free? Because nothing tastes sweeter than letting go.